All right, guys, welcome back to another video. This is one of the most influential, one of the most valuable free videos that you are going to be able to get on YouTube. This is the step-by-step, in-depth, fast way to turn a stranger into a high-paying client. Now, I have proven this framework that I have created both with myself and my clients, and I have been able to turn mere conversations, first-time conversations, into £3,000 to £8,000 cash collected. Now, I call this conversation to cash engine. This is the fast edition. There are a lot more subtle, a lot more slower ways to go about this that may be a little bit more stable. But this has personally allowed me to collect £10,000 in 3 hours in person in an event that nobody knew who I was. The people I spoke to had never seen me before. And this works perfectly for somebody who does not have an audience, who does not have social media, or is just starting out. At this very moment in time, I don't have a large following online. Yet this has allowed me to collect more than £10,000 in just 3 hours. Now, this is a very in-depth, frame by frame, order by order framework that will completely change how you view conversations. So going into it, we're going to just go start straight with the perception. Perception is key. It is like you trying to get in a car and go to a destination without putting the key in the freaking ignition. Because if you aren't perceived as who you need to be perceived as to get that client paying for the service or product that you need them paying at the amounts that you need them paying at, there is just simply no point. The perception before conversation starts with the identity positioning. Now, identity is everything. How you perceive yourself is how other people are going to perceive you, right? Now, it goes into three different things, and I love talking about it because this really does determine exactly how the conversation is going to go. What are you known for? For me, at that time, I was more known for, at the time that I first started using this framework, I was in the property industry and I was sourcing property for high net worth investors. These were not little people. They were very serious. But the thing is, and the thing that I realized is anyone can be an investor, right? And I was able to walk into the areas that you will never see me at collecting clients just because I perceived myself as somebody who was able to do that, and I was able to do that. So, for example, I went to in a taxi. I collected a investor who's worth £400,000, and he was actually my taxi driver, believe it or not. And don't be fooled by the job here. He has bought from me and is worth proof of funds collected £400,000 that he has in liquidity. Now, when I went to that taxi, I made it known what I was actually known for. If they don't know what you are known for, then what are they going to buy from you? At that time, I was known for property sourcing. I was known for helping out investors who didn't have time source for properties. That was my thing. And I made it known in a way that this is my livelihood. This is what I do, right? And it's what I did. But even if it wasn't what I did, I would still need to frame myself like that, or else he's not going to take me seriously. And once he knew what I was known for, what is the transformation that I do own? What do I own? Why would this guy even bother looking at me? My transformation at that time was I help you put your money into valuable assets and make cash flow. That is my transformation. You have cash right now. I'm going to make that cash, steady it instead of you keeping it in a bank, steady it in a valuable asset and let it multiply on itself. That was my transformation. Right? So now he knows what I do. Now he knows my transformation. Now, what's the problem that I am associated with? And this is the final nail in the coffin of identity positioning. Because if they know this and they know this, but they don't know the problem that you're associated with, there is no reason, there's no relatability. You can't relate to them if you don't associate yourself with the problem that they have. Either they know it or they don't. And the problem that most of my clients had and have today is time. They don't have the time. They're time poor. They don't have the time and they don't have the skill. And I made that known. So I'm a property sourcer who gets puts your cash into a valuable asset that is below market value and gets cash flow of yields of 7% plus with an average of 10% for investors who don't have time or just can't find below market value properties. He doesn't have time and he can't find below market value properties. And that's exactly why he was able to relate to me because he could say, "Oh yeah, that's me." He can't say that here. He can't say that with transformation. He can't say that with what I'm known for. But he can say that, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's totally me here." And now I actually have an identity that he can resonate with. After identity comes, then we have specific value content. Now, specific value content, when you say specific value content, this more is talking of, well, if you're really into like content online, which will work perfectly here, but it doesn't matter, you don't need content online. This applies if you're just talking and working on your visibility. Instead of you saying, "Oh, well, here's how I go about my auditing of a property," or "Here's how I go about my auditing of an account." No, here's the three mistakes that investors make before they enter into a property transaction. That is specific value content because they are able to directly see and collect the value they need from your own mouth, your own positioning. If they can't do that, there's no reason for them to engage with you. This is actually the number one reason why people struggle so much with content online because they don't have specific value content. They're shouting out into the broad, but they're shouting out into the sea, but you know the type of shark that you want to attract. Hence, you not to know the type of bait that they like to eat. You can't just throw everything and everything out there and then be surprised that you're getting all these little fish, these medium fish, when you are wanting a shark, right? And then once you get the specific value content going, you have to tie it in with authority signal. If you're not signaling that you have authority, they won't actually trust you. And it's not even about trust. If they respect you and respect what you're doing and respect what you have done, then everything changes. You will get credibility just from that alone. With credibility, this looks like screenshots with framing, right? If you're talking and you're giving specific value content, they will screenshot that shit. It's not even a question about it because it's valuable. It pertains to their exact situation. If you're giving live breakdowns and you're talking, demonstrating exactly how you're going to go about this transformation or how you have gone about this transformation, you are putting yourself as an authority on a subject that they have no authority or no expertise on, but they need. Right? If you can show the systems that you have in place that has gotten you to where you are or gotten your clients to where they are today, then it's already doubling down on that authority that you need for them to perceive you as somebody who is even worth giving their time to, let alone their money. This is really the number one thing you need to be looking at. And it's the number one thing people do not understand is the reason why they're finding it so hard to charge £5,000 plus because you're not perceived as somebody who is gaining that. You're not perceived as an authority figure who is working or taking or gaining £5,000 clients. You're not perceived, you don't have the authority, you don't have the positioning, you don't have the value that they feel like they need from you to be perceived as somebody who is worth closing at that price. If you're able to put the key in that ignition, great. Then we can go on to filtering later. Now, this is where you're filtering, and this honestly, this is you picking out the color of the car that you want. You know what you want in that car. You know the color you want. You know the specifications you want to drive. You know what you want it to look like for you to drive that car. Now, this is where you have to really, really buckle down now because you need to understand that if you're targeting high paying clients, it means that not all access can be given. You cannot just allow access is earned. And if you're watching this video right now, you know and you want your access to be earned, or else you wouldn't be watching this video. You need to give them context by asking them questions. You need to give them the context to what it is like to work with you or get your product or service by asking them the relevant questions so that you can filter them. And you have to do it in a way that if they're answering in a specific way, they know that they cannot work with you. This is how you filter out low ticket or non qualified people with the qualified prospects that you want to work with. And then you frame your investment. You need to make sure that your investment is set at least the first or second time at this stage. For me, I like to put it here. Identity positioning or authority signals, my investment amount is known. This is where you frame that as an investment. Here, it's a story because this is what you're working with already. And because you're building your perception, they're not going to think twice about it because the value that you are giving is there, right? And then when you ask them, you need to find a timeline. When are you looking to move? You have to check immediately. If they're not looking to move with you in the next 30 days, there is no point on continuing. There's just no point on continuing the framework at all. You put them back into your circle, put them back. You don't throw them back in the sea, throw them back into your pond. Get them in your pool. Get them collecting the value that you have and are going to give until they are ready to work with you either immediately or in the next 30 days. And then that is when you have control. Because you've done this, you have control to the access of you instead of the other way around. Some people are just letting people in left, right, and center, wasting their time on call when you haven't even controlled or filtered the access to you. Somebody who is saying that they want to be worth £30,000 for 1 hour call in the future. How are you supposed to do that? Time is of the essence. You don't have time. And if you don't have time, you need to filter. And if you need to filter, that means that you need to filter for high ticket paying clients because of the fact that you don't have time, but you have the value. It's about access. That leads us into auditing. Now, this is really and truly the lipstick on the freaking pig here because once you're able to audit them, they're able to really see and understand how it is that you work, and they're able to actually once and for all and very clearly have clarity on what it's actually going to be like if they were to work with you. Now this is where you are going to ask them, okay, so what exactly is the problem? And I guarantee you, and as a consultant, and if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're an agency, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And to be fair, this applies to any industry. It does not matter what industry you're in right now, because this framework applies to everything. But most of the time, when you ask a prospect, what's the problem? They never actually know what the issue is. They will tell you a symptom, but you need to find it out. Ask them what they think the problem is. They'll give you an answer. Let them talk. Once you have that surface problem, you're now going to be able to diagnose what the root is. And this will be so easy, especially if you're an expertise and you're in the area that we're talking about here. For example, let's just say right now you're watching and you're a baker and you're wondering, how is this going to apply to me? I'm going to tell you right now. If you ask somebody who likes to bake but is clearly not doing well, what's the problem? They're going to say something like, oh my God, well, the muffins, they never rise. Well, you know, the reason they never rise is because they're putting too much flour, right? Too much flour. They don't know it's too much flour. But they think it's just that it's not rising, but you know it's too much flour. You know the root cause of what's happening to them, right? And because you know the root cause, now you have hidden leverage, aka what the cost is. If you're able to get the root cause, and by the way, let me just preface this by saying, if they're able to give you, if they give you a surface problem, most likely it means that they are problem aware. It means that there's a problem. They just don't know the solution. But if they give you a root cause, it means they're solution aware. They know what the problem is, and they probably most likely know what the solution they need to get is. Those are the only two market awarenesses that you should be targeting. If you're targeting an unaware market, you are targeting low ticket or mid ticket clients. And if you're targeting those that are most aware, you are targeting the elite. You're targeting millionaires, billionaires. That's what, right now, if you are starting out, but you want to start a premium and have premium positioning, you should be targeting problem and solution aware markets. That is it. And these are what this will tell you. This, if you whatever answer they give you, you will know if they're problem or solution aware. Once you have hidden leverage, you're able to calculate the cost. For example, let's just say it's an agency, right? It's an agency, and the close rate is instead of 50%, it's 30. Yeah. That means that they're missing out on around 12 to 20,000 pounds. This is so bad. 20,000 pounds a month in just that 20% difference. Yeah. If you're able to show them, okay, well, what are you gonna do? I mean, if we're able to recoup this 12 to 20,000 pounds, what exactly does it mean for the business? I mean, what would you attribute the costs, the funds to? That is your hidden leverage. You have now quantified and made it tangible. Not only have you shown them the cost, but you have also made it quantifiable and tangible to them. What are you going to attribute the funds to? You are speaking like the funds are there because it is there. They're just losing out on it, right? And that is your leverage because now you're playing on a desire which comes here. What is the desire? With this 12 to 20K, yeah? What is the desire? What do you want? Well, actually, that'd be great because we'll be able to move offices, maybe da 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 da. Let them talk because that will allow you to create the opportunity gap. You are going to bridge how they're going to get there because you know what's the problem. Well, they think the problem is this, but it's actually this. And because it's actually this, they're losing this. And therefore, they cannot get to this, but they can get to this by doing this. The opportunity gap, what they need to do to get to here. That is the bridge. And that is where they are able to see, okay, this is what you could provide for me. And this is insane. When you see this in real time, I'm not even joking. It just works like a freaking charm because people are really able to see step by step. They're able to see you do so many different things at one time. They're able to see you diagnose flawlessly. The fact that it's not, they're thinking it's this, but actually it's this. You've already given them value. They're already leaving that conversation with value. And then you're further able to tell them the damage that it's actually causing, that this root cause is at its effect. And then you're able to bridge, fully show them how they're going to be able to get here. You're going to show them the opportunity, the gap, that bridge needed to actually get there. What can they do? What are we going to do here? How the solution that you have is what is going to make this happen. Now, we at this point, we already have them stacked in, right? We already have them stacked in. Now we're on the freaking call. This part of the conversation you will close. This is the part of the conversation that you will close at. Now, for me, this can go with one conversation, right? But let's just say it requires two conversations to have with this person. The next part of the conversation, this audit, right? Stop here. If you need two conversations, stop here. The next conversation, which is the last one, should start with the certainty stack. And this is where the fun part comes in because I'm telling you, this will show you, and it will help handle and pre-handle any objections that they have. It's actually amazing what you can do if you're able to stack certainty because it shows you and it will be able to allow you to pinpoint what actual certainty are they lacking. And I'm going to break this down for you right now because when it comes to logical, it's more, okay, well, does the plan work? Does it work? That's literally pretty much it. Does it actually work? If they don't think that it works, they're not going to do anything. You're not going to close. Why would you? But that's all done. First of all, do you work? Yeah, that's done here, right? Do they work for you? For you to know that's done here. Does it work? That's done here, right? They need to understand that and they need to feel that as well. If they don't feel that, you're never going to close. You're just wasting your time. I'm telling you. Now, for the emotional, It's pretty simple. Do they feel seen? Do they feel understood? If they don't feel seen and they don't feel understood, you're not closing them. Why? Because if they don't feel like you understand them, there is no way in hell they are going to feel like you can help them, right? Do not shoot your foot rushing the process of them needing to feel seen and feel understood. And that is really done here. It's done here. You have to listen. This is the time for you to listen. This is the time for you to talk, right? This should always take longer than this. If this is taking longer than this, they're not going to feel seen. They're not going to feel understood. Take it from me. Don't make the mistake. Do not make the mistake. There is so much riding on them feeling emotionally secure with you that you need to give it time for them to feel like they are actually with somebody who understands their problem and understands that you are the one who is going to help them because they feel seen. That's pretty much it. Now the self-certainty, and this honestly, this is where it's like, okay, well, do they believe, and I want you to even think about what I'm going to say here. The mistake people will say here, self-certainty, do they believe they can do it? No, that's not it. It's not do they believe they can do it. Everyone believes that they can do it. Here, you need to make sure and have confirmation that they believe that they can execute because they are going to be the one who fulfills, right? They're going to be the one who fulfills. And if they fulfill, then your fulfillment structure works. If they don't fulfill, then you're going to be the one stressed. And they're going to be, if you put too much responsibility on yourself, they're going to be the ones who are being down on your ass. Well, you didn't do what you said that you're going to do. If they believe that they can execute and you have that confirmation and they believe that they can do it, everything is golden. You should not get on any program. Never take money from somebody who does not believe that they can execute. Never. There is no point on stressing yourself out like that. Why would you? Why would you? So many people sell without this. So many. And then they find themselves that they're not fulfilling. They don't have client testimonials. They don't have client results because there's no self-certainty. The person doesn't even know that they need it, right? Because at the end of the day, you cannot force a horse to drink. If you bring them gallons and gallons of water, but they are not drinking, you are going to be stressed because you're bringing them water, and they're going to be stressed because they're not drinking it, right? If they have self certainty, they're emotionally secure, and everything is logical for them, then you have the certainty stack. This is very important. This is the motherboard of objections. Every single objection that you can get comes back to certainty. Every single one. Every single one. I'm not even joking. Now, the close. This is either in person conversation or on the phone. Everything should be a recap. Nothing is new. Nothing is new. And I will never understand people who come on a call and everything is like, oh, well, yeah, my name is Jade. Da, 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 da. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. The authority that you are building here is one of premium. You are not there to introduce yourself. You're not there to introduce your service. You're not there to introduce anything. You're there to recap the problem that they have already showed you. Recap the outcome that you have already shown them, the solution and the outcome. You're there to present the bridge again. And you're there to restate the investment. Before they should already know everything before the close. Nothing is new. This is just confirmation if they have any minor questions, right? If they have any minor questions, if they have any need some clarity and they just want to ask questions, that is the point for anything on the close parts of the call or the conversation. Nothing else is new. You recap, present, restate. That is it. The investment, that is restated here and it is presented here. Identity positioning or authority signals. The outcome is presented here. The recap of the problem is presented here. And the bridge is presented here with after desire, right? And the outcome is opportunity. Then now brings us to silence. Let them close. Let them close for you. It works every single time because you have positioned yourself in such a way that they need you. You have done nothing but present them with value and authority from the beginning. If they think that what she is saying makes sense, what she does makes sense, the transformation makes sense, the plan is logical, the outcome is there, the cost that I'm losing is apparent, what else is left for them to do other than to fix it or to stay suffering? Now it is up to them to go with it or not. And I will say this, 99% of the time, if you follow this word by word, it will work. However, the only reason why, and this will give you a close rate, you have a close rate of 60% plus. And that's on the low end. Why? Because you have filtered so aggressively. You have filtered so aggressively. You have pre-handled objections so aggressively. You have positioned yourself so aggressively. And you have audited what the problem is, what the cost is, what the solution is, and what they need to do to get there is. You have done it so aggressively that you almost cannot close on the call. And this is me just being generous because I don't want to be saying anything and everyone's like, oh well, da, da, da. This is the secret to converting literal strangers conversations to cash fast. You will not see this kind of value ever on the internet right now as we speak. This is the low down step-by-step guide to getting there, and you will get there. If you give yourself visibility, you will have conversations. And if you have conversations, you will get revenue. That is simple as it. I am so proud of this framework because it does work. It's proven it works. Me and my clients have done it over and over and over again. I have closed countless of people in less than few hours because of how aggressively I come at my authority, my filtering, my audits, and my certainty stacks. You will close like there is no tomorrow. High value offers with high ticket clients. It is straightforward. However, if you need help, don't forget to I'm here. Ask if you need help implementing it. If you're under 10K a month for some reason and you're still stuck, no matter what you do, and you're looking at this like I've done this and it's not working, ask for help. If you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur who is doing everything but you can't seem to get something right, for example, the certainty stack or the close recap, then ask for help. At the end of the day, let me know in the comments what you think. And if you're following this, how is it going for you? Because this is one hell of a framework and there's many more to come.